Imagine this. Your child is born and vanishes just hours later. No death, no clear crime, just a mysterious disappearance from a public hospital, and no one ever sees him again. But then, 20 years later, he comes back. Yes, the truth returns. And with it, one of the strangest crimes ever uncovered in Saudi Arabia. A story of kidnapping, deceit, sorcery, and a father who never gave up, even as the decades passed. This is not a detective novel. It's a real story that shook Saudi society and the entire Gulf region. Stay with us to the end because what you're about to hear has never been told quite like this. It all began on a quiet winter morning in 1996 at the Maternity and Children's Hospital in Dammam, eastern Saudi Arabia. A baby boy was born to a Saudi father named Abdullah Al-Omari and a mother still exhausted from labor. They held their newborn for only a few hours, unaware that this would be the last time and that their nightmare was just beginning. As routine, the nurse placed the infant in the nursery. Moments later, a woman dressed in a long black abaya and a full niqab entered the ward. She looked calm, confident, as if she knew the place. She walked up to the crib, picked up the child, and walked out. No one stopped her. In seconds, the family's joy turned to screaming. The father sprinted through the hospital halls. The nurses stood frozen in shock. The administration was lost for answers. Police were notified. Search alerts were issued to all security units. But it was useless. No surveillance cameras, no clear witness descriptions, no clues. And just like that, the baby was gone. 3 years later, at the same hospital, an eerily identical scene. Another child disappeared. This time, his name was Musa, son of Ali Al-Khunaizi. His parents were preparing to take their firstborn home, but that moment never came. He vanished from the nursery, just like the first case. A strange woman entered and exited unnoticed. And to this day, no one knows how she got past the security. Saudi authorities launched a wide investigation into both cases. But with no solid leads, the trail went cold. 2 families were left suspended in grief, their children neither dead nor found, just gone. No closure, no end. Years passed. Each family bore the burden of loss in its own way. Every Friday, Ali Al-Khunaizi visited a symbolic grave for his son, reciting Al-Fatiha, not knowing if his child was alive or buried somewhere unknown. As for Mohammed Al-Omari's mother, she kept her son's baby blanket, now old and worn, hoping he'd one day return and smell the scent of his first home. Then came the year 2020, the year that changed everything. At a civil registry office in Dammam, a routine case caught the attention of a clerk. A 21-year-old young man was applying for a national ID. But something was off. No birth certificate, no civil record, no hospital documents, only a few torn handwritten notes, and a woman claiming she had found the boy abandoned near a mosque over 20 years ago. The employee grew suspicious and notified the authorities. Police began to investigate. The woman's name was Mariam, in her 50s, with no official adoption papers, no police reports of finding a child. What stood out, however, was how much the young man resembled a long-missing baby from 1996, a photo still archived by an old detective. Mariam was summoned for questioning. Pressed for details, her story began to fall apart. First, she said she found the boy. Then, she claimed another woman gave him to her. Then, she insisted she was the biological mother. But DNA tests revealed the truth. The young man was Muhammad Al-Omari, the same child stolen from Dammam Hospital in 1996. And with that, the entire case unraveled. Mariam had never worked at the hospital. She was simply a regular visitor who used the chaos of birth to kidnap infants unnoticed. When authorities searched her home, they found fake documents, tools for forgery, and another clue. Another young man living with her, whom she also claimed to have found abandoned. He was, in fact, Musa Al-Khunaizi, the second baby taken in 1999. Mariam and her accomplice, a Yemeni man who helped her forge records and register the boys under false identities, were arrested. Both young men underwent DNA testing. Results confirmed that the second boy was indeed Musa, son of Ali Al-Khunaizi, missing for 20 years. The news exploded. This was no longer a crime story. It became a national moment. TV stations, newspapers, and social media followed every update. But the world paused for one scene in particular. In a small waiting room, Ali Al-Khunaizi stood trembling. He had been told his son was alive and about to walk through the door. The door opened. Silence. A young man entered. The father's voice cracked. "Musa?" "Yes, Baba, I'm Musa." The embrace was not just of a father and son. It was a reunion of 2 decades of tears, prayers, and endless longing. Ali clutched his son. He kissed his forehead. Musa wept into his father's chest, for he had grown up believing Mariam was his real mother. The cities of Qatif and Dammam held massive celebrations for the return of the lost sons. Communities came together not just to rejoice, but because this story belonged to everyone. As for Mariam and her accomplice, they were tried and sentenced to capital punishment for kidnapping minors, forging documents, and impersonating identities. The most painful part of the story? These 2 young men grew up with fake names, fake lives. One never knew he had siblings waiting. The other lived in a world foreign to his roots. Reintegration wasn't easy, but the support of their real families and the embrace of their communities helped them rebuild their sense of identity. And the ripple effect? After this case broke, dozens of families across Saudi Arabia reopened cold cases. They re-examined DNA results, dug into old files, because this story proved something powerful. Hope never dies. Today, more than 4 years since the case was solved, this story is still told in every Saudi household. A tale of heartbreak and healing, darkness and light, deception and justice. It reminds us all, justice may be delayed, but it is never denied. And a parent's heart never gets it wrong. In a single moment, a father locked eyes with the son he'd lost for 20 years. A silent scream, tears, an embrace that ended 20 years of pain. This is how one of the strangest real-life crime stories in the kingdom's history ended. A story that proves justice may be late, but it is never denied. And a father's heart never lies. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life mysteries and emotional true stories. We'll see you in the next tale.